Okay. Yeah. So my name's John Grant. I'm a colleague of David's, and we're working together right now at a place called Banner Health. It's located in Phoenix, Arizona. It's the headquarters. So we're remote. Right now, we are looking for a support engineer, Brian told me today. Yes. So if anybody is engineer, software developer, and they're interested in doing work in a support kind of role. So I guess it'd be part troubleshooting, part ticket triage, and part development. If anybody's interested, talk to David or I afterwards. But so back to OpenClaw. So it's an agent harness. You can use it with a bunch of different models. I've only played with it for a few days. I wish I'd had a little bit more time with it to do something kind of interesting, but it's not really doing anything interesting for me right now. It's kind of bleeding edge, but hopefully I can give you kind of some setup tricks and tips, some pitfalls, things to avoid. Um, and as I was saying earlier, a lot of people are installing this on their desktop, and that's kind of dangerous. I chose to kind of install it into a container on my Docker desktop, running on my laptop, so it wouldn't have access to my full system. And I'll kind of show you how to do that. And maybe I can push a repo later and share that repo with you, so you might have like a startup Docker file or something like that to work from. Um, yeah, so OpenClaw, so we've kind of got past that. I will show, let's see, I have a PowerPoint that I actually used, somewhat used OpenClaw to create, and it's not entirely polished. So let me find, I've got one, let's see, I'm not on Wi-Fi, am I? It says, okay, here we go. Oh, weird. Hold on. Mhm. See if this will work. Yeah, so this is going to be a slide presentation. I'm going to jump between PowerPoint and Notebook LM, which is a pretty cool product. This is from Google, and I've kind of used this a little bit more to spice up the presentation, but a little bit of it's going to be AI slop, so just bear with me. I'm going to try to point out what is really good and what's not. Um, so yeah, the author of OpenClaw is a guy named Peter Steinberger, and he's recently done an interview with Lex Friedman. You might want to check that out. I'm not a huge fan of Lex, but if you just want to find out more about this guy, you can go to this interview and kind of watch it, skip through it. I think Lex is a little bit flowery the way he interviews people and not always factual based, but if you just want to get to know the guy and his background, he's had a tool, a PDF tool a while ago, and he sold that and then he got bored and then he started this OpenClaw project and it's kind of gained a lot of steam. So that's the creator right there. Um, so this is kind of not important. We won't go into that right now. So there's a couple different ways you can communicate with your OpenClaw once you get it set up. And people are used to chat. Chat is kind of the whole, I would say, like in computing, chat kind of rules right now. Everything's chat based. You have Chat GPT, you've got Claude, you've got Gemini, and it's all chat. And so the natural thing for Peter to do was to create an application that you could use through chat. And so you can hook OpenClaw up to Slack, you can hook it up to your Discord, you can hook it up to um, maybe a couple other options. Uh, and they have their drawbacks and advantages. What I've done is I've hooked up OpenClaw to my Telegram. So before I share that, so I hooked it up to Telegram, and then you got other options like Discord. The thing with Telegram is if you're going to go Telegram route, it's just going to be like a one-to-one communication. You're just going to have one chat history, one message history. You're going to be chatting with the agent back and forth. That's fine. Maybe it's like starter. But if you get more sophisticated and you start building sub agents in your OpenClaw, then Discord may be a better option for you. You can separate your agents into different Discord channels, and then you can kind of, orchestrate them and have them working on different things as you're talking to the agent or the agents. So I wanted to touch on that. I guess a good time now is to show off Telegram. So this is my Telegram. You can see right here, I've got this chat called Ollie. That's what I named my OpenClaw. And you'll go through some setup when you install it. You'll give it a name, things like that. It'll ask you questions, give it a general vibe. It's got some markdown files where it stores and records your answers. Um, and then you use something called, let's see if I can find it. During the setup, you'll use something called the bot father in Telegram, for example. And I've just shared my API key. That's great. Um, oh, well. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's the bot father. You'll use the bot father to create the token that'll give you the chance to hook your OpenClaw up to Telegram. Um, yeah, so use the bot father if you're on Telegram, give you a token, and then it'll ask for the token during the initialization of OpenClaw. I think there's a stepper that, like a command line kind of stepper that you walk through and ask for the token. Um, let's see. So you'll get set up. You'll have a Telegram bot right here. Let me go on the next slide. This was a cool hack. Uh, Reminds me of another point. You'll probably want to check out. Let's see. You want to check out. Let's see. This. This course right here. Hopefully, I can find a way to share this with everybody, but I kind of walked through this course. It's a 3-hour course. It's pretty good all the way up until the end. I'd say so he goes through the initial setup of OpenClaw and what it is. And then towards the end, maybe the last quarter of the video, he gives like 4 or 5 use cases for setting up OpenClaw. And he has this thing called the Swift method of doing things. Let me see if I can get back there. Let's see if we get there. Well, before we get there, so it's a great interview. I'd highly suggest watching it, fast forwarding it, watch it on double speed, whatever. One of the things he does during the interview that I didn't really, or during the course that I didn't get to do, is mission control. So when you get OpenClaw installed out of the box, you'll get something like, let me see if I can find it. Let's do this. So we've got this container running. This is the OpenClaw gateway. So you'll get this, and then out of the box, you'll get the gateway. And I'm not authenticated to the gateway here. I will have to do, let's see, let me try to get the gateway logged in. Hold on. So the gateway is kind of like you'll see, it's kind of like the command center of your OpenClaw, and it's protected with a token. you'll have to enter a command. Um, Let me see. I forget the exact command. I should show you this too. Um, this is my OpenClaw project. What I've done is, so I was speaking about the Docker file earlier, and this is my Docker file that kind of sets up the OpenClaw container for me. You'll have, you'll start with the base node image. So this kind of relates to Node, I guess, in that way. But to start with the base Node image, I found out that you'll need a few tools. These are installed, kind of found out this from experimentation. And then it's created an entry point script for me. And then it just starts the entry point. And this is basically starting the OpenClaw command with some switches. And it's basically an if else. If OpenClaw is complete, then skip the startup. Otherwise, just run it. And then it'll be stood up like you saw in the container. But to log in, let's see. Um, Give me a command to um, so so my workflow to set this up has kind of been using GitHub Copilot. Let's see. I'll use GitHub Copilot to kind of walk me through some things, and when I get stuck, uh, oh, sorry, I know where it is. It tells you right here. So when after you stand up the container, you'll come to the port. You can just find the running port from the container right here. It says it, but it'll tell you right here that you're not logged in. And then if you come down here, it'll say to get a tokenized dashboard URL, you need to copy this. So we'll copy that, and then we'll go over to the console. And then we've got the login. Okay. And so now we're in the gateway. This is kind of like the command center for your OpenClaw. And it's got a number of links over here. You got channels. This is kind of the channels that you set up. You can see I've got Telegram set up here. Different instances, some usage stuff. Cron jobs, which is a big thing we'll get into later. Agents, agents and skills. So we'll get into that a little bit later. But general configuration stuff. Um, so yeah, we're in here. If you're making changes to your OpenClaw, you'll use the gateway a lot of times. Let's go back to the notebook. Yeah, so but a lot of people will install mission control on top of OpenClaw. So if you just search for OpenClaw mission control GitHub repos, you'll find a few of these out here. They just provide a little bit more of an interesting dashboard uh, that you can run on top of OpenClaw to just have more information about it. So you'll probably want to grab a mission control is one of your first things that you do after you install OpenClaw. This we won't really go into. This is not really about the Mac Mini setup. So if you have a Mac Mini out there, I mean, maybe some of this stuff would be interesting, but I'm kind of just like security minded. So I did it inside a container. But you'll definitely want to keep everything secure and think about it. Because like there's things out there like prompt injection, leaking tokens and keys and things like that. You don't want your agents to give up anything. The Claw Hub skill library. Yeah. 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 It doesn't have to be a beefy thing because you're doing if especially if you're using the LLMs. So if you're running something locally like Olama or something like that, which is a local model you can run, I think there's a few others. You might want something beefier with a lot more memory. But yeah, you could run it on it doesn't have to be a studio, a Mac studio, top of the line. So interesting. So if you're gonna like make your OpenClaw actually do something, you want to give it skills. It has these things called skill files down here. I don't have any yet, but there's a lot of repos out here that are kind of skill repositories, and you can find these. So you could search for different skills. Claw Hub AI. And then people just kind of create these skills and share them. And they'll do things like interact with other SaaS products and things like that. Things you might want to do. They might be good for creating bots in Slack or things like that. So definitely worth time to like visit skill repo if you want to make your OpenClaw do things. Let's see. Zapier integration. This was a cool trick that I heard about from this YouTube video that I watched. Um, so so there's a lot of everybody knows what MCP is. So MCP is kind of like a gateway server that sits in front of other APIs that kind of gives your LLM an idea about how to talk to other APIs. And you can integrate MCPs with OpenClaw and whatever LLM you're using, but a lot of products out there, maybe like Gmail doesn't really offer an MCP, for example, or Gmail might be hard to authenticate with from your OpenClaw. So Zapier, which was kind of the automation before OpenClaw. I don't know if anybody remembers, but like a year ago, a couple of years ago, this whole no code movement started. And Zapier was like one of the big products in that kind of movement of no code. And so one of these tricks that I saw from the YouTube video is that Zapier, going off their no code thing, has let's see if I can find it. Maybe it was a next link, but cannot find the link that I actually saw earlier. Yeah, but Zapier offers a whole catalog of MCPs that might be useful for you as you're hooking up your OpenClaw. So that's something to keep in mind. Let's see. Uh, where am I? Okay, here we go. Yeah. So this was what I was talking about earlier is Swift. So in the YouTube video, the guy talks about the Swift methodology. So if you're creating these agents and these automations, what you want them to do is you kind of want to scope your problem. Like, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to get um, like stock market updates? Maybe you just want to browse the market for different, trading ideas or something like that. Or maybe you want to, you know, get a status update each morning across all your like work responsibilities. You kind of define the problem and then you map the problem to the workflow. Like what systems are you going to need to communicate with to get this workflow done? If I want to get like a Telegram alert each morning about like what I've got to do for work that day, maybe I need to connect to like Jira, maybe I need to connect to like DevOps, like a Kanban board or something like that. You figure out what are these systems that you need to communicate with. And then you kind of start gluing it together and you iterate on it. And then once you've tweaked it, you formalized it. Formalizing it is putting it into like an agent skill. You develop an agent MD file for this thing that you've developed. And then once you've formalized it into an agent skill, that markdown file that I was showing you, or that collection of markdown files, then you can set up a cron trigger, like a scheduled trigger each morning to run this agent for you and deliver the results. So that's kind of the Swift methodology that the guy went over in the YouTube video.
What you actually run it within is LLM based.
What are you running every day?
Because you can create a machine that is really just go and scrape something and bring it back to you, or find the window and tell you so. Is the LLM in this case used just to create that automation, or normally the OpenClaw automations will actually use an LLM in the process that runs every day or every time?
I mean, I think the answer is that it's a combination of the agent skill MD file that you've created, that you've formalized, and then the model that you're choosing, whether that's like Gemini or an OpenAI model or whatever. And it's the OpenClaw is the actual runner. The OpenClaw is going to have a scheduled cron job, and it's going to combine the agent file as context to the prompt for your LLM. And then it's going to run all that together and get an output and deliver that output. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, so basically your answer is that when it runs, it uses LLMs during the run, not just during the design.
Yeah, I think it's
Correct.
effectively agentic tool use, right? So the LLM is using the tools in executing batch scripts, etc.
Yeah, like the OpenClaw is just the harness. It's kind of like the glue or the scaffolding between the agent files and the LLMs.
So there's an orchestration between these agents, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Does the large language model have to be local, or could it be remote?
No, you can be remote. You can use a local one like Olama, I think, is available of open sourced, but a lot of people are using, like these API models via the APIs and things, which kind of like reminds me of a couple other things I want to touch on. This was kind of this slide we'll skip over. That was kind of one of the use cases that the gentleman did in his video. So this would be a good time to kind of get into some of the cool links or tooling that I found during doing this research. So you fire crawl if you're scraping the web. Fire crawl. Has anybody used fire crawl? No. So it could be, I didn't get a chance to use it yet. Like I said, this is kind of bleeding edge, and it's like you've got to really do a lot of customization to get OpenClaw to do anything interesting. So if you wanted to go out to the web and maybe for these agents, if you have them on a routine, or you want to give the agents a skill to scrape the web, Firecrawl would be a great tool to do that with. That's one. Another kind of cool tool I found is this site called Context 7. Has anybody used this? So this essentially scrapes the web and puts all the documentation for things you might use in one place. And so, for instance, I can search a library, I can say OpenClaw, and I get all these files, these links, and these are just kind of raw. This is the documentation in a very raw format. So if you're doing work, I mean, you're probably using Copilot or something like that at your job. And so one thing you might do to help your workflow and help the agent or the LLM that you're using be smarter inside your IDE is take what I did during this tutorial to start this off. See if I can find it. Data. It's a little disorienting. But hold on. Yeah, instructions. I don't know if I did it here. But essentially you can, let's see, and then, yeah, it already exists. Okay. Um, you could, so you can take, these documents from the website and kind of paste them in here. So whatever platforms or frameworks you're working with, then if you've got a local, it's just going to be easier for an agent to kind of search these docs local than it would be for it to kind of go out and try to scrape the web. This is trying to get answers. So I've been using that trick a little bit in my workflows lately. Uh, so this Context 7 website, pretty cool.
They have an MCP as well.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So let's get back to the slide. Yeah, another one that I wanted to touch on. It's called bullshit benchmarks. Yeah. So this is a cool link. Uh, this kind of loads up. It loads up so whoever did some performance testing of every model, and they kind of keep it up to date. And you can kind of get metrics on models and things. So something that you might want to use just to see like who's winning at the moment because these things change so fast. Um, Another cool trick is, let's see, I don't want to touch on all of these, but something that I've used. So I'm running this locally, and I'll get into using it in a little bit, but I'm running this agent locally. It's going out to ChatGPT or OpenAI. Has anybody used OpenRouter? Yeah. Yeah. So you can use OpenRouter, you can sign up, you can let's see, will that work? You can go and get an API key, and you can essentially use it essentially routes you make a request to the OpenRouter API, and it essentially will route your request to whatever model is the best for answering that question. So if it's like a coding thing, it'll route it to maybe Claude because Claude is very good at coding. If it's just like a tiny question, it might send it to like one of the OpenAI mini models, for example. I've used GPT-5 Nano up here. So these are kind of all the models that I've used. I've set up OpenAPI to route all the requests from my bot through these models. So OpenRouter is pretty useful, especially when you start hitting API limits. Like I got into a position earlier today where I hit a rate limit on one of the APIs. And so I was like, screw this, I'm out of here. I went to OpenRouter and got like a key and set that up in like 5 minutes. It got me going again. Let's see. Yeah.
Is it, it's routing to the other LLMs. Is it, do you have to have like API keys for each of the different LLMs, or
No.
you're just going through them and they're taking care of like?
Yeah, you're paying for OpenRouter, and then OpenRouter is renting the tokens or purchasing the tokens from the other APIs or the other models. Yeah. So it's like a flat thing, which brings up another good point I wanted to touch on. There are different ways to set this up. I've set it up initially with ChatGPT or like OpenAI. Sorry, I always confuse the two. But I initially set it up with an OpenAPI token. And so it was talking to all the OpenAPI models. So then I got rate limited. And then I was like, let me set this up with OpenRouter. That worked. But I think what a lot of people are doing right now is if you have a ChatGPT subscription, you've got access to Codex. I think there's a way to set up OpenClaw to use your Codex subscription. So maybe you're paying a flat $20 a month for Codex, and you get unlimited usage, I think, or almost unlimited. So you want to try to set your OpenClaw up with your ChatGPT Pro subscription. I didn't do that, but that seems to be the most cost efficient thing that people are doing right now. Let's see. So, let's see, anything over here? Infrastructure. Yeah, I don't have any skill files yet. Usage metrics. So let me look at my other PowerPoint and then I'll use the bot a little bit, I promise. But bot right now is a little bit, it's not very interesting, unfortunately. Let me see if I missed anything. That's yeah, I wanted to try demo. Yeah, commands in Telegram. Well, the cron jobs are not exactly working for me yet either. Uh, another thing is you might a lot of people are doing Brave search. Like I think you said you've used Brave search,
Yeah, I use.
the Brave browser. Well, so there is a Brave search API, and I think one of the setups that people are doing most commonly is getting a Brave search API key and giving that to their OpenClaw to search the web.
The key advantage there is that Brave does not sell your information to, advertisers or third parties.
Yeah.
There is a Brave developer that in Jackson with the place.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah. So some of these files that people talk about are at the heart of this. Let's see. So one thing I did during this demo is so I'm running the Docker desktop, but I do have on my host machine, I've got a folder called data. And this is the same folder that's mounted inside the Docker container that OpenClaw is using. You can see some of these files. Let's see. Where are they? I forget where these files live. Okay, I guess we're here. Yeah, so there's these files. So you'll the config is kind of living in some of these files. So identity, let's look at that. That's giving the bot a name. I called it Ollie. So it's not very filled out right now. Could have done a little bit more. This is a memory file. It's not taking up memory for some reason. I don't know why it's not saving anything at this point. A heartbeat file. This is for triggers. Yeah, I guess it's just instructions that are running periodically. Let's see. User, that's me, tells the bot a little bit about me. So Yeah, a lot of configuration is done through the MD files, or you can do a little bit of custom configuration. I wouldn't say a lot. There is an OpenClaw JSON file, I think. Yeah, this is where a lot of the configuration is stored. What models you're using, what tools are available, profiles. Let me see what else is in here.
Quick question,
Yeah.
so I think you initially mentioned that it is not recommended to install a OpenClaw on your like work desktop or your machine, right? Will using Docker isolate that from your actual laptop or your actual desktop? Like if you have it as running as a Docker, will it still have access to all your desktop files? Or
No.
can that be a solution to isolate and make it still run on your desktop?
Yeah, that's a okay solution. There's not a huge risk of it getting outside. It's really only going to have access to this data folder right here. So this data folder, this is my host machine. This data folder, you can see that it's pretty much mapped to, let's see, mapped to this file structure in the container.
And it only has access to this particular folder structure, right?
Right. Correct. Yep.
But to make it useful on your local machine, your tasks will be based, on your local machine, you have to share something.
Yeah, you've got to share it somehow. I mean, that comes into getting into like maybe you share files with it through a cloud storage provider.
Some kind of volume. Without
Yeah, I could mount additional volumes if I wanted to. But yeah, you'll find a way to share files if you're doing this. And there are OpenClaw platforms in the cloud now. So I've seen a couple services that are like OpenClaw as a SaaS. So you can just go and purchase an OpenClaw running in the cloud. But then again, you've got to get your files up to the cloud somehow, right? So yeah, it's a good way to jail it for right now until you have like higher trust in it, maybe. This was the Swift process, talked about that. Memory, it should be writing to this memory MD file. I don't know why it's not saved anything there yet. The Telegram setup, Git repo, I want to share this. I kind of want to clean it up a little bit and share it as a repo. I went over that, mission and went over that, that. Yeah, in that video that I shared. So, back to the bot. This is the bot hooked up. Should be a rooms. So you can see it's formulating a response. I was asking it to find a slide deck, but it wasn't really too great at it. So I was thinking, I mean, maybe this could be something good to do for the demo right now.
Especially doesn't run.
Well, it does do compaction, so it's supposed to compact the conversation and write it to the memory file occasionally. I suppose you could I don't know how to, but it might be possible through the OpenClaw command line, or maybe just deleting files on the file system. But I haven't done that. I haven't had to yet. Um, let's see if I can do this. Okay. I want to try, I guess, just do a live demo. Let's see if this works. Okay. So I've got a bunch of snail mail here that I kind of scanned over the last couple days. And I was thinking that maybe I could just take this mail and some of it is like my mail, some of it's for other family members. And I was thinking, where is it? Yeah, compress. I was thinking I could just like give this mail to OpenClaw and ask it to sort it, organize it into maybe folders. Where'd it go? Here we go. How big is it? Oh, that's a big file. I don't know if this will work. I have a task. I need you to uncompress this archive, sort it into folder by recipient. So, and then I suppose it'll place it into, place the, target folder in your workspace, compress and send back the sorted files and folders to me. Honestly, I'll be surprised if this works.
Big experiment.
Yeah. Should have maybe done a few less letters. While this is okay, and we can see in the, also, you'll get different ways to monitor it if you're kind of working with it. So you'll see in the logs. Yeah, I would have thought that it would show up here. I don't see it yet. Maybe it's not finished sending the message, so you don't see anything. But you can see your sessions and kind of this is the gateway again, the UI that I was talking about. And you can click into them and kind of see what each session is talking about and what each is kind of doing in the background. Is your kind of, maybe you've got a couple different going in Discord and you want to come check on them, you can come here. But I would recommend trying to find like a good mission control to install, as I was talking about earlier.
Almost.
Yeah, it's almost done. So
This is the one.
what's that? Oh, there was an upload progress here. Now it's got the upload done and it's creating a response for me. And
But you could have done this in ChatGPT, right? And then you can define a thing.
yeah, you probably could. Yeah. Yeah, and there's been a little bit of debate online lately about like, is OpenClaw really all it's supposed to be? And a lot of people like are saying that, oh, people are just doing YouTube videos to get views and things like that on OpenClaw. And, I don't know. This is my like second or third day working with it. So it's still too early for me to tell. I could see where it'd be useful, but it feels like a lot of these products are already, overtaking OpenClaw, and it's only been like a couple months.
Now, for this particular example, did you need any specific skill for the people to have, or was it just using like generate LLM capabilities to do what it is doing right now?
Sorry, the too much noise. Say it again.
So, yeah, so for this task, the example that you're just showing, I don't think you could have a specialized skill to be stored in OpenClaw, right? You could just use an LLM capability to do whatever you're doing right now here.
Correct, yeah. This might go smoother if you had a specialized skill. Like you might want to say, like, instead of just like getting this back in chat, I wanted to upload it to a storage bucket in the cloud or whatever. Then it might be better to have a skill. I mean, every everything that you're going to do inside a chat with OpenClaw, if it's going to be something that you're going to repeat more than a few times, then it'll probably be best to package it up as an agent skill. What's the difference between an agent and a skill? The agent is like the combination of the LLM and the runner. The skill is more like the context that you pass into the job. The skill is kind of like additional context.
If I think about a skill, it's like you ask it how to do something, it has to think, and then it comes back with kind of, here's the commands I need to execute. And so once you bundle that up, you don't need to ask it to investigate, you have that. So it really comes down to like a optimization from execution as well as the AI, as well as the token usage standpoint.
I guess the way I see it is agent is just like if you take an example of a human being, right? Like if you have customer service, right? And they may be able to answer questions related to maybe finance and some may be able to answer questions related to insurance, right? So insurance is a skill, finance is a skill. Not all customer service reps can have the same, all the skills. Some may just have finance, some may have insurance, or some may have both. So I see agent just like a resource. You can give any skills that you can for that agent to train, and then the agent can answer questions based on the skills that it has. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but I'm not sure that's correct, actually.
Yeah, I mean, do you have an idea? I mean, what's your take on it?
I thought that skill sounds, from what I saw before, is more of an ability to execute certain freehand commands, and it doesn't necessarily have to go to be LLM behind it. And an agent, I think, is something that should be able to carry out the task and makes sometimes its own decisions, and it is LLM based. And if you want to schedule something, perhaps you have an agent that has a particular task to carry out, where skills is more like things that you want to maybe run. I want to run this, I want to run that. It's like a replacement on almost to commands that you would normally run yourself, but maybe bundle together. Or I have not seen it necessarily in the OpenClaw, but that's sort of how I saw it in other places, let's say.
Okay.
Our team, so I'm not saying we do it right either, but, we have a large application with about 20 projects and about 15 unit tests, and, you have the overriding, what the whole solution's about, and then this project is about doing certain thing, and it's unit testing, so it's all like basically a lot of instruction code, stuff that you might type in, but project's not going to change much, so those instructions for that particular project explains how we might do dependency injection, how we want things tested, what other team thinks.
Okay, so when you do this, it's still skills.
Yeah, it's kind of, that's how I see it. Yeah.
Is a skill someone similar to MCP or with the?
Yeah, it's like written instructions, like you're gonna have this.
Yeah, I understand what the purpose is, I'm just trying to figure out.
There's different ways in that when you think about kind of AI and agentic tools and skills conceptually, and then I think within this model, it's simply, here's a sequence of actions that I want to take it, right? And I want to always execute this sequence, right? So it's pretty discrete like that, as opposed to executable or anything else. Because again, it's really the AI is reading that, and then you're thinking about it taking action on your machine. So it's like, oh, I need to execute this script, and I'm going to grab it to this, and then I'm going to do something else. Well, it's not a different way, but yeah.
Well, I'm making it up, it's not gonna be the same thing every time.
Well, that's how it's.
Yeah.
Research.
There's so many similar concepts, like you have these skills, you have entities, you have a lot of MVC files and cursor, pretty much set of instructions as well. And I don't know where to place it, in which category. So it's confusing.
How's it going?
So the first shot, it didn't even find the archive that I attached to the Telegram.
It looks like it's trying to find it somewhere in the workplace.
Yeah, exactly. So I just copied it into the workplace by hand. And now it's trying to do something. Let's see if we can get a little bit more information.
The thing I noticed that with Pete was that like when they responded to you on the first request, it mentions like, well, in order to do this, you really need OCR software and so.
Yeah, it said something about OCR. I didn't. So one thing I found is like right out of the box, it's very like it asks you a ton of questions. Sometimes I'm like, just shut up and do this. It's like not doing. It's like just talking. I'm like, just get it done. You know, where like ChatGPT or some of these others just might give you an answer like right off the bat. So while it's still working on that, one thing that I noticed today was that Claude Code, let's see. So I think this was released today. So Claude Code can now take over your computer to complete tasks. So this is why a lot of people are saying that this OpenClaw stuff might be overhyped and these guys are catching up very fast. Has anybody used this today? OpenClaw or not OpenClaw, Claude Code? You're using Claude Code? Yeah. Yeah. So, and I,
It's actually a website that does indentions.
oh,
He runs this website through a repository in Cloud Code does all kind of stuff. To add jokes or to add features.
Yeah.
Etc. For the repository.
yeah. Yeah, they can write jokes, they can write songs, music, whatever, but this was released today and I saw somebody using it. And so maybe if you're kind of apprehensive about the giving OpenClaw full control of your computer on your desktop, you might trust Anthropic a little bit more. One cool thing about this was well, it's not gonna let me. I actually watched a live YouTube today where a guy was so you can get the app on your phone, the Anthropic app, and you can control your computer from the phone if you're running computer on your desktop. Yeah. Yeah. And you can talk to it like you're talking to ChatGPT or whatever. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I tried to use it today, but unfortunately I was banned or from Claude. Like I signed up for Claude and I was immediately banned for I don't know why. They didn't give me any explanation.
Both, right?
Both what?
I'm asking like your original account and the new one you tried to create?
Well, yeah, I tried to create like I had one that I created like a few months ago, and I just been using ChatGPT so much, and I had a three or four conversations in there, and I was like, well, this looks like a cool feature. Let me go and try to use this today. And so I logged back into Claude, and I was like, oh, I'm on the free one. I got to pay for it. And so I was like, gave them $20, and then they were like, thank you, and then they're like, you're suspended. Yeah. And then they refunded me immediately, but like, yeah, yeah. And then I tried to open a second account and that was suspended too. So I don't like those guys right now.
Yeah.
That's a funny thing. My API account is not suspended. So I still have the API account. Yeah. Yeah. It makes no sense at all. The only thing that I can think is it's just like automated suspension for some reason. I like, and I didn't even do anything. The only thing I did was signed up for Claude Code, and then I was like, let me sign up for Claude CLI at the same time, or I was just basically running them at the same time. Maybe that triggered some kind of alert or something. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know if I'll get to use this anytime soon. Kind of mad about that. But yeah, so you might look into this. I mean, I would say right now, OpenClaw seems to be like if you're a power user and you want to play with this stuff and you really want to customize it and have a lot more control over how your agent harness works, then go with OpenClaw. If you just want to get things done or quickly, then go with Claude Code. Yeah. Correct. Yeah, that's a good point too. So if you want to use other LLMs.
One thing we really, it's unique open close use is, this, the fact that it's wide open, so, it's kind of unsecure.
Yeah.
It's perceived by many people.
Yeah, it's a pain. It's always something that's on the back of your mind. Let's see. Okay, it's doing something.
No other questions. You want your discussion, your email, if I understand, using OpenClaw. You are organizing your email using OpenClaw.
My mail from I scanned mail like paper mail.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Do you use density server or scale or what are you using for that?
to scan the mail. I'm using an app called Office. I'm just using OneDrive on my. Oh, it's got some built-in tools. I'm not exactly sure what tools it's using, but it still has, I was trying to get a little bit, I think it's basically using whatever tools it has access to in this Docker container.
I think it said in the response, it goes using Vision OCR or something like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Where did it? Oh, in the Telegram
Go
response.
back there and scroll up, scroll about the image.
More up.
Yeah, I think so, that image. Yeah, Vision.
There it is, right there in red. PDF to text.
Okay.
That returns nothing.
Oh.
Yeah, but then it says good Vision OCR works.
Okay, good division.
So it's not a PDF,
Yeah, so it's some kind of, but it's
I
not.
access the picture.
Yeah, interesting. I thought that if I used OneDrive that let me open a sample. Like let me try something like this. Yeah, so if I yeah, so it does have text inside of it. It's got the image, but so I was thinking I was like, well, this should be a pretty easy task for it because it's got the text. It doesn't have to really do OCR on it at all. It looks like it's made some progress. Let me see. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. You would think it would be right here. Huh.
Well, I think that was a good experiment, just to see, what it was capable of, doing. Pretty good, actually.
It's found like some of the recipients. I was hoping, every kind of sender will write my name a little bit different. And I've got an LLC, I've got some family stuff that I manage, and then I've got my personal mail. And I was hoping that it would kind of do some kind of fuzzy grouping or something like that. But
So right now, could you tell it to message random people on Telegram?
I probably could. Finally, what output do you want for the archive? Final zip in the workplace plus manifest. Let's see. Yes, zip and manifest. And then what else? So see what I was saying? It kind of asks a lot of questions instead of, and I think this is where if you would use like the memory file, if the agent skill files, it would learn a little bit more. Like maybe I make a mail sorting agent skill and it wouldn't ask me so many questions.
And can you make a Telegram group and you know, as an agent there?
Yeah, you can do that. Yes. Yeah. Um, yeah. You could do, I don't know how it would work. From what I understand, like Discord and those tools, Discord and Slack are better for managing. I guess Telegram has groups now, but everybody seems to use Discord when they're doing multiple agents.
Did pull a agent into a group on Discord.
Okay.
And it was a bit messy because you have a whole bunch of people in the group, but it's all over the place.
Yeah.
Because it can't distinguish.
Oh, so everybody was trying to talk to it, like push it in different directions.
Yeah, I think if you set it up one-to-one to have multiple groups, right, where you're the only one contributing, you have various agents that have different roles.
Yeah.
And that, I think that works, but it has to understand, like, who it's supposed to listen.
Okay. Yeah, and that's probably another agent skill you could give it to like only listen to these users or these user IDs. What did it do? Download the paths, sort final. So this is one problem that I'm having with it right now. Ever since I switched to OpenRouter, it doesn't find or it doesn't formulate these links in Telegram. Like this should be a download link in Telegram. For some reason, it doesn't format it correctly. But it looked like it produced something. Now I just have to go find it. Maybe. Where would it be? Snail mail sort by recipient. Huh.
You know, the bottom right, so you can just search by bottom.
Yeah, I thought I could. Some of these are not being indexed though. So huh. No, it doesn't. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that's the final output right there. Actually didn't really do anything. So yeah. So that's my experience of like 3 days or 2 days working with OpenClaw. So
But,
what's that?
this meetup was announced like 2 weeks ago, so you knew in advance that 3 days before the meetup is something.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically. Yeah, I think you would have to really, to get any mileage out of this, you might have to like work with it for, a couple hours every day for a few weeks at least before it starts like taking shape. It's my feeling that I get.
Just security concerns kind of slow you down a little bit also.
Yeah, yeah. If you were installing it on your desktop, it might go faster. You might have a total different experience if you're comfortable doing that.
What's the crazy story you've heard about OpenClaw?
I mean, there was a head of security at which company was that?
Just remember, hearing people that basically says, this is a nightmare. Yeah. But what's interesting about that is like, last week was TDC, which is a big developer conference. And one of the things they announced was something called OpenClaw, which I don't know if it's a direct fork of this, but like they're doing their own open source project, which is they're not known for doing an open source project. One of the things they're trying to tackle is to solve the security problem of that project.
The crazy
OpenClaw.
Yeah.
The NVIDIA GTC.
Yeah.
So the craziest one I've heard so far, is from a reputable YouTuber. And I read another article about it. I didn't read it in depth, so take it with a grain of salt. So OpenClaw had the users to-do list and everything, and saw that he had a date coming up in like 3 days. Went out to OpenTable to try to set up the reservation. couldn't do it, downloaded voice software and called the restaurant itself and voice. That freaked me out.
Yeah.
That's awesome though.
But I don't know if you want to do all of them.
No, but the fact that it was, intelligent enough to, do that. that's-
Yeah.
that's remarkable.
But what if your grandma is in hospice or something and it makes the decision? And just think about the ramifications of that. It's a little nervous there.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm starting to wonder about some of that now. Like after my experience with this, this is another one. Had Meta's director of alignment of superintelligence labs deletes all our inbox. That's you know,
And that's where I think back to skills. If it's just reading, it's like a guideline and or prompt injection or something, and it gets a hint that, oh, this is what my user wants me to do. And it infers that, oh, it needs to delete, my computer's slow. Oh, I know how to make it faster. I'll just delete.
yeah,
It's just a lot of things that it can do just by guessing that, oh, that's what the user wants.
yeah. We're running out of space. Let's just delete files. Yeah.
This morning, Meta is developing some kind of agent to replace the CFO role. To replace their CFO role.
Oh, really?
Their CFO, yeah.
So,
What's interesting about that is there's actually, like, there's not a legal requirement for having certain types of executives except for one. I think like if you're a publicly listed company, you're required to have a CFO.
and another question is who's gonna sue if something goes wrong, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. Drop in.
Yeah. So it couldn't figure out the recipient. Interesting. Huh. Yeah. So I don't know. If you want to experiment with it and you have time and maybe you're hitting walls with Claude Code or Claude Cowork or whatever, then it might be a solution. But I don't know. I feel like it will take a lot of setup to get to the point where it's calling to make dinner reservations for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
As, the gentleman you mentioned before who, created this, Peter Steinberger.
Right.
He just went to go work for OpenAI. Yeah, and so I have to imagine that, this, I think this tool for us, somebody in this audience, like probably not have that much difficulty, trying to get this running or configured the way we want to use it, but like the average, computer user, I think would struggle with this. And so I have to imagine that's probably one of the things they're working on is building probably a completely new tool that will essentially do what this is doing, but for the average, user with security in mind and with, a lot of other functionality that's kind of missing.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah. I think there'll be a lot of competitors out there.
I was at a coffee shop and this guy's like, "Oh, are you using AI?" So, yeah. "Oh, I'm learning about OpenClaw." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Why are you learning about OpenClaw?" He's like, "I wanted to, look at all my emails for me and like do all this stuff for all my clients." And he's like a marketing person. And it's like, I think you just need to write like all the problems you want to solve down. That's like step one. And then just send an email to me. Like have someone else figure it out. But I mean, I don't want to discourage the learning, but it's kind of like you said. Maybe he is the type of user that figures this out, or maybe it's.
I think that the average average user, but it's trying to do this, would have a difficult time if you had to, even us, there's some, oh, we got this and do this. It's not easy, to set up in that and use. But I think that is, it's just like, AI has been the last couple of years. It's like, there's just been a steady, improvement, just over time. So I think that, tools like this are just gonna improve over time, just like AI.
I think another approach is, MVP, minimum viable product, and just like getting quick ROI, and this seems like it's a lot of setup, you know, and you're not gonna get the quick ROI right away.
I think there's people actually are getting work right now setting this up. Like people are paying people that know how to set this up to set it up for them. So,
I would, with me personally, I've set it up, but you didn't have fun, use it, but I use like specifically co-work, you know, on my phone with dispatch, because it's, you know, there's a lot less back and forth. Right, but I'm just like, hey, go ahead and do this, and I can have more kind of clarity, because there's a lot of things that with Claude, it's going to kind of get right from a configuration standpoint without me having to configure kind of all the markdown files and all this. So there's all sorts of options, right? But then it's really how quickly do you want that person at the coffee shop? It's like, well, okay, it's like there's this heavy bar to do like that. So how can we get to a much lower bar of entry for, you know, the regular user?
Yeah, whatever is gonna be part of Android or iOS, that's usually gonna be using preferable. Most of the users.
Yeah, I saw the creator, he posted a tweet yesterday where like some finance guy uploaded a bunch of documents and it didn't work and he was asking for a refund.
Well, it's like if your LLM hallucinates, you don't get refunds.
So that's it for me.
thanks, John.
You're welcome. You're welcome.